Welcome in, Georgia Tech fans, talking about the Jackets' big win over South Carolina State. That and more on tonight's episode. Swarm Talk, Crowded Booth. We'll see you here in a second.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
All right, sorry, I had to get the eucalyptus in the nostrils before we started rolling here. Words are hard, and we're back here on the Crowded Booth, Swarm Talk podcast, Georgia Tech talk show, best one you're going to find on the internet. I got my boy Rec talking the chat. Appreciate it. We're here. We're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. Can't wait to come for you for the next 15, 20, 25 minutes. Get your comments in. Make sure to subscribe to the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Like us wherever you're finding us. If you're also on podcast former radio in West Georgia and East Alabama as well, we appreciate you tuning in as well. Georgia Tech, big winners over South Carolina State. And they needed this one. Look, they needed to exercise the demons. They needed to dominate an FCS opponent. We're going to take a look at the game. We're not really going to dive too much into this game. Thought about doing some film breakdown stuff, but just overall, this is a game they needed to win. They should have won, and they did in the fashion that they needed to do. Let's lock it in here. Ralph, we got the first topic of conversation, weapons emerging on the offense. Let's talk about this. Appreciate you tuning in. First off, Jamal Haynes is a monster. Jamal Haynes, the former wide receiver now turned into running back, has just been a dynamic athlete. Tough to bring down, too. I mean, this is a shifty guy, and I think we're starting to see this running back room. And look, I want to give all the credit in the world to Dante Smith. I think that he is a good player. I think that he is a high-character football player, and I think this is a guy, too, that is going to bring a lot to a table for a potential NFL team, and he brings a lot to the table for right now in Atlanta. But when we talk about explosion and we talk about the ability to make guys miss, I just sit in the camp here, folks. You can't go wrong with Trey Cooley and Jamal Haynes right now. You got to ride the hot hands. But this running back room is starting to see a group form, a tier one, and then guys that need to continue, Matt Brooke, Ralph 7'9" in person. Maybe. I haven't seen him in a while, so I wouldn't know. No, I'm just kidding. Jamal Haynes, though, 114 yards rushing. Overall, Georgia Tech scored points on 8 of its first 12 of the 12 total offensive possessions. All of that to say, Trey Cooley had 93 yards rushing on 10 attempts, and it's the highest total yardage output for the Jackets in 5 years. 310 through the air, 268 on the ground. Haynes King, 290, 4 touchdowns. Look, Ralph, let's go ahead and throw my man Louis down there. Throw his comment up right now. It's not a contest, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if you weren't convinced after week 1, you know now. And look, I know it's South Carolina State, but some of the throws that this young man was able to make, most notably the touchdown to Dominic Blaylock in the corner of the end zone, like that's an NFL type of throw that we saw. And that was the potential that everyone was excited to see out of Haynes King and what he could do, what he could bring to the table. So look, I really, really enjoyed watching this game, watching it back and just seeing how they moved the ball to just fluidly. Like this offense feels more fluid. We're getting back to some of those weapons. Jamal Haynes, Trey Cooley. That's a two-headed monster, kind of some gadget guys. Cooley, a shifty guy. And then you got Dante Smith that's just a hard-nosed runner. And so I really like the development of this running back room. And look, we got to give credit. Norval McKenzie has done a fantastic job. Really, after this running back room has been a revolving door over the past couple of seasons, you bring guys in, you have a guy in Dante Smith that's there. All of this to say is you're starting to find continuity in the backfield. Was really impressed with Ethan McKinney, my man over at Georgia Tech SI, All Yellow Jackets SI, tweeted it out. Jackson Caudell, shout out to him, does fantastic work using the PFF rankings that are also, by the way, open to anyone. Subscribe. If you'd like to get a subscription, just find yourself one over on PFF, completely free, no exclusive deals or anything that you need to be able to get that. You can just pay for it. So that being said, Jackson Caudell had McKinney ranked like 85 on the PFF rankings, so he did a fantastic job. He did a fantastic job with just the ability to cement himself at the tackle position. I thought he did a really nice job in place of Corey Robinson. We'll see how that continues against higher level competition. They're going to figure that out this weekend as well. Overall, offensively, I liked what I saw from Dominic Blaylock. You look down at some of the stats here. Haynes had 114 yards to the ground. Cooley, Dante Smith, 5 carries, 32 yards. Evan Dickens was, I'll say this. Look, Dickens was a guy they really liked during fall camp, and he showed explosion, combination of power and vision that I think that everyone really kind of enjoyed. Looking at the receiving topics here. Malik Rutherford, ladies and gentlemen, was targeted 6 times, 5 catches for 60 yards, 29 yards after the catch, no touchdowns. Blaylock had a touchdown, and I know we had the comment earlier. Eric Singleton Jr., dog. This guy is a really, really good football player. He's going to be special. Christian Leary had a couple of nice catches getting to the swing of things. And I'll say this, if you're part of the Discord, you did learn earlier today, the big news, obviously, Chase Lane got hurt in this football game, and expectations from talking with some people around the program is that this is a guy that they're going to dearly miss. Best case scenario, you could be looking maybe getting him back by Boston College. Other than that, it's a timetable, but from a position group, Chase Lane out with injury. From a position group standpoint, the wide receiver room looks a lot better than it did kind of in, week 1, week 2, and preseason. Rutherford's there. Blaylock, arrived on the scene. Eric Singleton Jr. has so far lived up to the hype. Christian Leary continuing to kind of get what he, needed to do. Trey Cooley, another guy that is used in the passing game. Jamal Haynes. Brett Seether, 1 catch. He's got 2 touchdowns in 2 games, folks. That's a tight end that's got 2 touchdowns in 2 games. You still obviously have Dylan Leonard. You still obviously have Luke Benson. I would think we would see maybe Avery Boyd take a step up. I think we could also say Abdul Janae be another guy that you would take a step up. And I'm excited to see where this running back in the wide receiver room and how Faulkner uses all this to account for the loss of Chase Lane, who has had fantastic, rhythm. The 2 A&M guys, him and Haynes King, but kind of more on the side of Haynes King. Like this, he's QB1. And I think Pyron did a nice job in relief, but I think that Georgia Tech's quarterback room, for the first time since the move away from the triple option, has legitimate number 1 and number 2 capability in that room. Is Haynes King, I mean, I know we had this. The kid's got a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio through 2 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. And, Ralph and I were in the building. Ralph's in the background. The pick, really, you could argue, wasn't necessarily his fault. He threw it and it hit off the helmet and just popped up in the air in the game against Louisville. So it wasn't like it was a bad decision that led to that interception. So kind of going off of where this offense is, man, I really like to see the way that they're moving the football. I thought the offensive line got good push in this game. And why is that key? You say, Bryce, it's South Carolina State. Who cares? To me, if this was Virginia or Wake Forest, you'd be feeling great about it. But you have to have a game like this to kind of get the ball rolling, especially, with a tough opener game, like a season opening game, which is what, they had against Louisville. So this allows you to really kind of settle into things. There was some concern with the play calling. I chalk that up to, maybe this is the optimist in me. I know a lot of Tech fans don't see me as an optimist. I am a realist, but I also have some optimism. As this is a game where you can afford to try things out. Like you can afford to try things out and not miss on them. And if you do miss, man, it's okay. Like it's completely okay. So, the weapons emerging on the offense, I think that, the prognosticators, big word there, Ralph. The prognosticators that in the preseason and, talking about this team, they kind of ignored the potential. Once again, yes, words are hard. They kind of ignored the potential of what the wide receiver room can be. And I think that although losing Chase Lane hurts, it's not, I don't know if it's going to be as detrimental as it has been in years past when you lost other type of guys. So that's going to be something to continue to keep an eye on as well. Well, Ralph, let's roll to the next topic of conversation here. Talk about the defense. And before we do, Ralph, let's go ahead and run that good hot dog commercial because I'm about to sneeze. You good with that? Let's go ahead.
Cook's Place began serving our signature hot dogs in 1985 from a cart on Broadway. We still serve the best hot dogs and scrambled dogs in town at the corner of Moon and Miller Road and at the landings. Our friendly staff won't let you leave hungry. Come in and eat to the beat with our 50s jukebox. Cook's Place, fast service, great people, awesome food. What are you waiting for?
Sorry, I had to get a couple more eucalyptus drops there in the nostrils before we continue with tonight's show. But look, hey, appreciate Cooks. If you're ever in the Columbus area, the best scrambled dog you're ever going to have, home of the scrambled dog as well. Real quick, before we talk about defense, Ralph, I want you to get to now. Listen, I want to talk about this. I got a problem. Let's go down to GT Bowhunter, the oyster crackers. I look. First off, it's a scrambled dog. Okay, it's a scrambled dog. You throw oyster crackers. You throw some mustard. You got some pickles. Ketchup's okay. I don't know. It's the best scrambled dog in town. That's all I'm going to tell you. Best scrambled dog in town. All right, let's keep talking here, and let's keep rolling. The defense has questions. Out of all the positive things offensively that this group did, defensively for me, I still have questions about the front seven. I think that, and I know you've got injuries along the defensive front, and I think it's something where you start to kind of tell that. And Ralph shot me the text today. Keon White made an impact in today's game. It was Patriots against the Eagles, I believe. Was that correct, Ralph? And he made an impact. And look, guys, you can't just gloss over the fact that you've got an NFL talent on your roster last season that you lost. And do you really have a guy that is that standard of play right now in the front seven? You lost Sylvain Yanjuan. He's going to be there as an emotional leader, and I absolutely love that. He's already committed to coming back in 2024. But all things considered, I kind of sit in the context of this is that you've got to be able to find other guys. You didn't really set the edge very well. And look, it's a team that did run the ball a lot, ran a lot of the kind of some option concepts. Some speed options, some triple options, some, zone read option plays that you kind of got gashed with. And I think that when you go back and kind of watch the game, that's a concern when you start to face teams that really realize that and say, we could probably just ground and pound this team all day. You don't want that to be the mantra of the Georgia Tech defense. You're going to need guys to step up. Eddie Kelly, down with injury. What does the timeline look like for him? Because I was really impressed with him in that Louisville game. You lose Sylvain Yanjuan, and he was going to be that guy. I think that Kevin Harris is a guy that they really liked in fall camp and is continuing to try to step up and do some things as well. But all things considered, you got to set the edge. You got to get some pressure up front. And I think it's going to be a growth process as guys have to step up into roles that were filled, especially at that linebacker position. Braylon Oliver got some playing time, obviously, in this game early on. Believe he started the game. Trinius Tatum. Look, Trinius Tatum has been in the program for a while, but has he had meaningful snaps continuously and consistently? And that's just something he's got to grow into. So I think this defense projects well. It's more of the case, where do they sit here in week 3 as they get ready for Ole Miss? And that's the question mark that I have. And we're going to talk about that in a second. We'll talk about it later in the week, previewing that game against the Rebels. I know a lot of folks are going to that game and you should have a fun time. Oxford's a great place. So I'll be there actually at the end of the month. So, all things considered, I think that the back end is someone that's continuing to progress. LaMiles Brooks looks healthy and he was playing. I think that is where you kind of see the leadership. This the strong suit of this defense is in the back end. But you got to be able to do that. And I'm still concerned about the tackling. Tackling for me is something that is concerned, and I didn't expect it to be a concern under a Brent Key-led team. It didn't feel like that. Ralph, Will, and I were in the building, obviously, for the Louisville game, and Will even said, he goes, it doesn't feel like that would have been something that you would have had an issue with. But is it a case of, and I go into 2 areas, and I literally talked about this an hour and a half ago on our LSU live show. when you're playing a skilled team, okay? So when you're trying to tackle Jamari Thrash of Louisville, shifty guy, and you miss the tackle, oftentimes you can just chalk it up to the kid made a really good move. And I don't want to take anything away from the athletes that South Carolina State had, but on paper, when you're heavily favored, on paper, when you are supposed to be better, and you're missing with regularity, it often comes into the complacency and I don't want to say over aggressiveness, but just kind of mental miscues, leaving your feet, not wrapping up. Things that for me, I didn't anticipate a Brent Key led team to have. But listen, as much as I said last week, this team has to learn to win. They've got to learn to play with a lead, and they've got to learn to put the foot on the gas. And so I think that's something I wouldn't expect it to continue necessarily with a Brent Key led Georgia Tech team, but I think it's just an early, we'll call it early residue. Residue is an interesting word, Ralph. Early residue of learning to win and learning to be a part of a team that goes out and dominates. Because if we really talk about this, the last time Georgia Tech actually dominated somebody, like, look, we got 40 people, 41 people watching live. You tell me the last time you saw Georgia Tech go out and dominate somebody. It wasn't last year against Western Carolina. We all know it wasn't the Citadel. Like, I don't know. I'm genuinely that's me. So that's a positive takeaway. But you got to continue to get better with that. Let's roll to the final topic conversation. We'll get to some of the comments here after this. Looking ahead, when you look forward 2 weeks into the season, I want to know how you feel looking ahead into the future of this team. Not necessarily just this week, but maybe kind of just going forward in general. So I don't want to move the goalpost on my expectations year or day. We're all just making up words. Words are hard. That's what Ralph's gonna pin that comment every single show. Appreciate you, Michael. But in all seriousness, looking forward, I mean, look, when you get to this point of the season, 2 weeks in, you've learned some things. In Georgia Tech's case, you've played a quality opponent. You've played an FCS opponent that you're better than on paper. Heading into a very tough game, I think I've seen so many different lines on this game. I think it's sitting anywhere from like 20.5 to like 17.5, where Ole Miss is the favorite. All of this to say is when you kind of go forward and look at the future, not just this week, but next couple of games, I think that this offense has the potential to score with some teams. I feel way better about the way this offense is run. Now, do I feel better about it this weekend? That's a different animal. Like, I'm talking about teams that are kind of in your same tier. I'm talking about going on the road to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a quality team. But one of my big concerns has been, what does the offense look like? Do I think you go up there and score? Yeah, I think you can. Virginia, Boston College, all these different things, Syracuse, those games I think you can go in there and score. North Carolina, look, Clemson. Could you go up there and score with them? Who knows? All of these things is I think that the offense moving forward unlocks a ton of possibilities for what this team wants to do. It unlocks the potential. It unlocks that 6-win threshold. Because to me, if it was just going to be a defensive-minded team that was going to lean on the defense and then just scrounge around, I mean, this team averaged 17 points a game last year. Like, it's hard to get to 6 wins averaging 17 points a game. Like, that's just really, really, really hard. Brent Key's he's the Zen master. So, I think it'll be very, very interesting as GT Bowhunter let us know down there. All things considered. Let's get to a couple of the questions, though. I'm excited about the future of the team. I think that they've got good things coming, good things going for them. And look, it's always good to get a big win under your belt and to try and make some moves. So let's get to some of the questions, Ralph. I know you got them in here. Here we go. Let the Sunday Night Wars of Bryce commence. I'm not familiar. Rec Talk. I'm not familiar with that account. Yeah, I'm not familiar. Here's my thoughts. GT Bowhunter 90. If the defense can limit the yards after contact, just get a little pressure, we'd be in the Ole Miss game. Look, Ole Miss, I will say this. Ole Miss is not as strong out of the gate as I thought they would be. I still think that, and Ralph said this in the Discord earlier, if you're not in the Discord already, make sure to join down below. Got great conversation happening all weekend long. They're probably more advanced in coaching, and they've got better talent, skill talent. And it's not a knock against Georgia Tech because I think they've got some nice players, but I just think it's more advanced at Ole Miss. But we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely still there. Let's see. King would have hit that throw to Rutherford late in the fourth that Pyron missed. I didn't specifically see that throw to TD Jake, but I think Haynes King has shown the progression necessary to be quarterback one, and he's shown it on the field to be that guy. Like that's for me. That's I feel comfortable saying that he is your guy, undisputed, and you've got a more than capable backup that can win you a football game. And it's not a knock against Zach Pyron. Like if Haynes King is just the better quarterback here in 2023, that's exciting because you already know what Pyron can be. And if King, whenever he ends his tenure, if Pyron's still in a Georgia Tech uniform, you feel good about it. You feel good about it. I think like King's proven himself. Let's keep rolling here, Ralph. We got here, Matt Brooks, serious thoughts. D has a big problem. O has moved forward after Louisville. If they keep that up, we should be able to keep up with the competition. Concerns are stopping other teams. I agree with you. Matt, I sit in the camp of it concerns me. It concerns me to see this team get into a shootout because you're entering into a territory that Georgia Tech's not familiar with, and we just haven't seen them enter a shootout with somebody. I mean, you could say the Louisville game, I guess, and that's one. But man, defense has got to come with big stops. And this is a team, look, that relied a ton on the ability to get a turnover. And it hasn't happened with as much regularity this season. So was last season's defense really good because it hinged on turnover play and creating and forcing those turnovers? I kind of think so. We'll see, though. Let's keep it rolling. Appreciate you tuning in, Matt. Matt got pressed by St. John Days on Saturdays. Please explain. Please explain. I'd like to know. Let's keep it rolling. Louis, appreciate you tuning in. After a season of meshing and developing, this team will officially be spooky, or especially spooky next year. Look, if they can get to 6 wins, like I think within the confines of the ACC, I want to be careful about this. Within the confines of the ACC, if they continue to show good things on offense and grow on defense, like, yeah, they have a chance to move into the top level of the ACC, the top 4 or 5. Like, there's no, I don't think that's that crazy. When all things considered, the ACC is a conference. I think Florida State is probably going to be the premier team. I think Clemson's still a really good football team, but maybe not what they were. After that, I mean, I'll tell you, Miami looks good. We're going to talk about it tomorrow night on our college football live show. Miami looks good. But after that, I mean, you get into the conversation of teams. I think Georgia Tech could be in that 4, 5, 6 slot. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let's keep it rolling. If Haynes played for Bama, UGA, Miami, UNC, they'd be talking Heisman at this point. Look, 7 touchdowns to 1. I think he's got like 700, 800 yards through 2 weeks. I don't know if they'd be talking Heisman, but I'll tell you one thing, they would be talking about him being more of a legitimate option. So Ralph's signaling something to me, but I can't quite read it. He's got over 1,000. He's got 1,500 yards, 51, 510 yards. I don't know what Ralph's saying. You just have to type in the chat, Ralph. Keep rolling. Let's keep rolling with the comments here. We got a nice drink here, but they're not a sponsor. I got to answer this text real quick. Defense has some health problems. Yeah, they definitely do. They definitely do. All right. Defense has some health issues. Yes, you're exactly right. I've got a comment that is an interesting that we got down here that I want to read. Keep going with that. Is Chase gone for the year? No, but he's gone for the foreseeable future. So how do you manage that? I think that this wide receiver room has the ability to be able to do some things. I think they do. Let's keep it rolling here. 603 yards for Haynes King. Appreciate that, Ralph. The defense is what scares me. Yeah, I agree, Max. I mean, that's something I think is going to be very interesting. And I wanted to add a tidbit that I had here as well towards the end. And we'll talk about it right here. The defense. Clayton Powell-Lee and Lamiles Brooks were the 2 guys that really asserted themselves last season towards the end of the campaign. Now, you love that Jalen King is healthy, but has that messed with kind of the mojo? Jalen King's a great football player, But has that messed with the mojo of being able to sit here and say, here's what we have the ability to do with Lee and Brooks? Could you find a way to mix King into the equation? Do you need to go back to Brooks and Clayton Powell-Lee? I think it's a question that could be asked. It's a question that could be asked. But the defense has got to come back, and the defense has got to get back to what they were doing last season. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like on Saturday. Keep it rolling here, Ralph. We have 2 injured defensive linemen. Yeah, you do. And you got to get healthy there, no doubt about it. We get gashed by dynamic playmakers. Cade, appreciate you tuning in. I think you're a first-time commenter, at least. If I hadn't noticed you before, apologies. Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's not a bad thing to get gashed by playmakers. A lot of teams do. But, man, you got to be able to tackle, and you got to be able to stay disciplined in the way you play football, especially defense. Discipline is a huge part of the defensive side of the football games. And, you can get by with other things. What you can't is you can't be undisciplined and play like that. Let's keep rolling through these comments here, Ralph. We need to get some more David Currys back there, pass first, and then they're 5 yards down our throat. Yeah, it's, it is. That's kind of what's happening. Enough said right there. Coach Key's definitely making a difference. This is not the same team. I agree with you, Michael. Absolutely agree. Let's keep rolling here. Appreciate you everyone for tuning in. Well, if we can just funnel through this as we get ready to close out the show. Apparently, Wanye Thomas is having a game tonight for Dallas. Man, a heck of a football player and is really, making a way for himself. Thunder Ridge Custom Calls came in late. Do you think we found a new kicker? That would be very interesting. Aiden Burr's a good kicker. Could you find something else? We'll see. Just keep rolling through him. I think Chase has another year after this. Really going to miss seeing him on the field. My favorite transfer. Yeah, I mean, look, he's dynamic. I mean, what he was able to do in the Louisville game, he's just a good football player. And, man, Buster Faulkner has done a good job of finding ways to get that guy the football, and now you have to kind of go elsewhere. Keep it rolling here. They have the talent because they took ours in Ole Miss. Yeah, that makes sense. King is better than Ole Miss's Dart. How? Interesting comment there. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, that's for sure. I really like Byron, but King has proven himself for Michael Lane. Yeah, I mean, look, and that's okay. Like, this is the thing. We can't just continue, folks, to get caught up in this idea that because you say you like one person, it means that you hate the other. And, Michael, I'm not saying that about you, but, like, just because you say, well, you know what? It was really, really interesting to see, Haynes King play the position. But now that you've got this, where do you go? I mean, you have a good system. Like, you got 2 quarterbacks that are capable of playing football, and that's a good thing to have. A lot of the teams wish they had that. Keep it rolling. Keep going through. I'm dying over here of nasal congestion. Singleton should have had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, he's an absolute unit. I would have liked if Pyron had more chance to play. We don't win in a shootout against Ole Miss. No, I don't believe so, Trevor. I'm also, I said in that context. If we somehow win this next game, what would be your prediction for the season record? Lewis has great comments. If you beat Ole Miss, I will say listen, Ralph might shake his head. We're talking hypotheticals. If you beat Ole Miss, your best case scenario, Ralph, is 9-3 crazy? Ralph's got 7-5. Ralph's got 7-5 in the background. I think, though, I think that would be very interesting to kind of watch that. It'll be very interesting. Let's keep rolling through these comments as we kind of roll out of here. Hit the 30-minute mark. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. Watch the Tulane game, and I don't think Ole Miss is as good as last year. Might hang. You might. Different coach team. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I think that I will say I think Tech covers. Let's keep going here. Rocking and rolling. Let Ole Miss sleep on us as they look forward to Bama next weekend. I want that. I understand. Bryce, love the content. Appreciate you, Matt. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm really excited for the offense moving forward. Faulkner has some growing to go back, moved in the AFC role. Defense disappointing. Hopefully they improve. Look, this is something, and Matt points this out very well. I think everyone, because of where he came from, expected Buster Faulkner just to seamlessly transition back into fully calling plays. Look, this is a program that's trying to grow together. And Faulkner's growing back into that role, and he's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Let's keep it rolling here. See, are there any changes that we can make to improve the pressure on the quarterback, or are we stuck? I mean, I think they're going to do some different things, different looks. But right now, I think they're still look, I don't think it's a bad recipe. You just haven't gotten home yet a lot. And so how can you do that? We'll see. But you got to get healthy. You got to get healthy. Eddie Kelly's got to be a guy. Maxwell, I think someone said our offense is currently like 9th in the country. Is that true? And there's still a lot of football to be played. Yeah, that is true. Like, that actually is true. Like, the Georgia Tech's offense they're a top 10 offense in the country right now. Like folks, for as frustrating as some of the play calling might be, the screen passes, like, I want to go back to a play. Gosh, we can't show it on stream, which sucks. It sucks. But the first possession of the game, offensively for this group, you had screen passes to either side and didn't do anything. You continued to throw the screen passes, and so you later in the game, you run the same. You have 3 receivers to your left. He runs the screen pass, but it's a fake, and you hit the guy up the seam down the middle of the field. It's to set up other plays. A lot of times as fans, we say, whoa, that doesn't make any sense. Why is he calling that play? Well, it's because you're setting up for different opportunities within a game. And it's part of that. So let's keep it rolling. Keep it rolling here, Ralph, with a couple more comments before we get out of here. And I know we got Ralph Sahader, Marcus Brooks. I'll get to this one. Is DJ Moore expected back this year? Imagine in the mix. I know he was in a sling on the sideline, and that's something I want to be able to check on because I think that, I mean, as much as we talk about Eric Singleton, and he's a great football player, DJ Moore is like that guy for that class. And, man, if he can get healthy, he was really the talk out of fall camp was that DJ Moore was the guy that like emerged as a true receiver, like not just a great athlete, but a true receiver. So I think it'd be very interesting. I want to get to Ralph's here. Ralph put this out here. 9th best offense, but lower ranked defense around the Vandy San Jose State mark. So look, it can't be a situation where you got to have a balance. If they could just move, Ralph, do you have a number defensively where they were in total defense so far? I mean, is it like in the hundreds or something like that we're thinking? I mean, I don't know. But if you could even get this defense into like the 50s, and look, I think that eventually Georgia Tech's offense is going to sit around if they could have a top 30 offense and a top 50 defense, like that's good. That's good. Very interesting. Breaking news here. 3rd worst in the ACC. My bad, Ralph. 3rd worst in the ACC right now. So GT Bowhunter as well. His dad said that okay. Hands off, Ralph. You got it. GT Bowhunter, his dad said it back in 2 weeks, so that'd be big to get him back. Let's get to Hal Rhodes' comment before we get out of here for the evening. We are clearly missing K. White Stone and now lost Sylvain Kelly to create a pass rush. Yeah, you're going to have to get creative. Linebacker blitzes, Trinaeus Tatum. What can you do with some of these guys that can make an impact? And so it's going to be interesting to watch. I think we're going to be very, very interested to kind of see what happens. But hey, listen, battling an awful cold. That's why we had to get a shot real quick of the whatever this is in this little bottle. Not sponsored, so I'm not going to shout them out. We got in this. I'm going to take this from a show that's also live right now. We got a mysterious liquid here in the cup that we're sipping on. But I thank you so much for tuning in. Almost 60 people watching live. Appreciate you. Like the video, subscribe. Here's the show schedule for the rest of the week. We're going to get rested up. We're going to pack some NyQuil in for tonight. Get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow night, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, full week 2 recap. It's going to be it'll be great. Louis, appreciate you. You get better as well. I don't even know if you're sick, but you get better. Michael, appreciate you as well. We're going to talk tomorrow night. General college football. We can't wait to talk about it. Will's going to be back on the show. Ralph's going to be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. Tuesday night, we're going to take a break. Wednesday night, we're going to be back previewing week 3. Georgia Tech's going to be involved as well and let the guys give their takes. And then Thursday night, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. We're back full Georgia Tech, full on Georgia Tech preview. Ole Miss going to talk about that. Rishi, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you as well. I'm glad that you have joined the sport. That right there, comment of the year so far. Rishi, you know what? reach out to us, join the Discord, DM me. We'll get you some merch. That's exciting. That's a ton of fun. Absolutely love that. But hey, my name is Bryce Koon. Got Ralph Larry in the background. We thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like the video, subscribe wherever you may are. And man, adding fans to the fan base. That's the goal of this show, to have a show for the fans by the fans. Appreciate you so much. We'll see you next time. Right here on the Crowded Booth. Go Jackets.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.